Well, hello friends. Here live, broadcasting straight from the vibrant city of Dubai at Airshow 2025. Please let us know if you can see and hear us well, because we might have some internet issues. As you can see, it's a very work-focused and professional atmosphere right now since we're right at our booth. There aren't as many people around anymore since the exhibition is coming to an end. It's Friday, already 4 p.m. in Dubai. Many have already packed up and left, but we're still here, staying behind and consulting with our valued clients. And there are planes flying right above us, so that's why it's so noisy. Please also let me know if you can hear me or not, because it really is very loud. I'm trying to start the stream from my phone right now, but it's glitching for me at the moment. I hope it's working fine for you. In any case, please give us feedback on how well you can see and hear us, because that's very important for us right now. So what is today's broadcast about? We're about to board from the second to third stage of funding in the new Generation Airships project. This webinar is dedicated to that. On the other hand, right now we are at the Dubai Airshow. You've already seen our news. We've talked about what we're doing there and why we're going. And today, right from our workplace, from our booth, we'll sum everything up. So there will be a lot of interesting information. Today we'll have stations from Sergey Semyonov, Fyodor Konstantinov, and Vadim Zubkevich. I ask for your understanding and patience, because everyone right now are still consulting with interested people. It's possible that some of them won't be able to join us for the webinar. They simply might not be able to make it because they're busy. Now, regarding the completion of the second stage, when we talk about completing a stage in our investment projects, we're talking first and foremost about the numbers and the outcomes. And before we start discussing the main events, let's talk about the financial results we've achieved. I'd like to point out that the second stage has been much more successful for us than the first, because during the first stage we raised just over $3 million in investments. As of today, that figure is almost $4 million, and the stage isn't over yet, while the goal, as you may recall, was $5 million. So, Sergey Semyonov and I were discussing this today. Sergey believes that we'll be able to achieve this.
Yes, of course. We still have, let me announce the date now. On December 26th, we are moving to the third stage of funding, which means we still have 36 days left until I am confident that we will reach our goal of $5 million. Plus, we have a reserve from the previous stages. So once again, we are announcing that on December 26th, 2025, the AERONOVA project will move to the third stage of funding. The goal for the third stage of financing will be exactly the same as for the second stage, $5 million in total. And accordingly, I am quite confident that everything will indeed go according to plan for us once again.
Here are some interesting numbers. In the second stage, we crossed a very significant milestone, the first 10,000 investors in the new Generation Airships project. Congratulations to all of you on this achievement. If we look at the ranking by country in terms of investment volume, Russia still holds the first place. In second place is Togo, the country where Gilles Weber and his team are working. So in reality, that's just over 5%. Considering that fewer and fewer shares are being sold, this number will grow quite quickly. And it's possible that some shares will even remain when all the investments have been attracted. So even when we run certain promotions in this project, we are selling exactly those shares that people bought, wanted to buy, reserved, but did not pay for in installments. Keep that in mind as well. Before we move directly to the Dubai Airshow and talk in more detail about what happened in the AERONOVA project during the second stage, I would like to take a moment to remind you that the Duyunov Motors project is still continuing to attract additional funding, even though we are at the final stage. This stage is still very important, and the company Sovelmash still needs money until it can, so to speak, become fully self-sustaining. In principle, there is very little left until that point. It's no longer a secret that the first commercial orders are already being fulfilled by Sovelmash in one way or another, and as soon as we receive permission to start commercial operations, then the presence of a customer has already been confirmed multiple times. The fewer shares we sell now at the end, the fewer there will be in total.
The fact that most of the information space is currently occupied, and as for making a profit, I think that at the beginning of next year, as we planned, we will already have results. So let's get back to AERONOVA. Yes, to the exhibition.
Yes, let's start with where we actually are right now.
Yes, let me give a brief summary and tell you a bit more about this exhibition, including why we came here, what happened during our visit, and what results or outcomes we achieved. So the Dubai Airshow 2025 is considered to be one of the largest and most significant international exhibitions or shows for aviation and military, as well as aviation technology. Now, Pasha and I have slightly different data. I read in the media that there are 47 participating countries. However, Pavel says there are actually more than 100 countries involved in the event.
Website says there are over 100 countries.
But here at the exhibition, there are at least about 1,500 companies from all these countries presenting their existing products as well as prototypes, the most advanced developments and tools from this industry. There are huge pavilions of American companies, European ones, and also a very large pavilion of Russian companies where the defense sector is represented. It's a genuine point of pride to be here as well, representing a respected Russian company with the AERONOVA startup and our innovative airships. We're the only dedicated airship company present here. There are a few others who are involved, let's say, in providing equipment for installation, including, of course, on airships. What exactly were our main goals for participating in this important exhibition? So, first of all, we actually had 3 specific goals in mind. The very first of all was to yield for and identify potential clients in a variety of different countries. As you already know, we currently work in Russia. We have clients there, we conduct negotiations and so on. But in addition to that, we wanted to get valuable feedback and insights from the markets of other countries as well. So the first and primary goal was to find clients for our products with whom we could begin forming dedicated working groups, gather and collect their specific requirements and determine exactly what we can do for them and from which countries these clients would come. The second goal was to find reliable partners with whom we could organize and establish business operations in their respective countries based on airships. In other words, with whom we could set up airship manufacturing companies in other countries so that this process would continue and expand in various countries, not just in Russia. The third goal is to find specific investors. Not those who are looking to create an airship operating company together with us, but rather those who simply want to invest their funds in a passive format, just to wait for returns. As for the exhibition, honestly, I don't know for certain, but we probably had about 1,000 guests. You'll see all of this in the reports. But there were different groups who approached us during the event. Now, some presented their own companies, but still the airship is quite an attractive and innovative technology, an appealing means of transportation. Many people who attended the exhibition were surprised by it. By the way, according to the officially reported data from the organizers, there were approximately 150,000 guests at the exhibition, and all of these people are from the aviation industry. So in one way or another, these aren't just ordinary people like consumers, for example, with a car, where anyone can participate in the market. Here we're talking specifically about industry participants. We have about 300 contacts in those 3 areas. These are people from completely different countries, major investors who simply say, let's do it. We have venture funds, we have large funds, we'll help you in our countries. These are the types of clients who typically approach us. As we expected, tourism, logistics, freight transportation, monitoring, and some kind of specialized equipment. So everything is going according to plan, both in our country and in other countries as well. Maybe there are some slight differences. For example, if a country is not very large in size and doesn't have oil resources, then oil and gas companies don't come from there, but tourism companies do tend to appear. But the interest is quite high, and we've gathered a substantial and impressive contact base. Our next important task is to work with this base. We have a chat where everything is collected. Tables, data, names, surnames, companies, and details about when and how to interact. So I believe that the goals for the exhibition have been achieved. Next, our task is to work with this appropriately and move toward our goals together.
So what exactly are our main goals and objectives for the exhibition here?
Together, of course, we couldn't sign any contracts here because that whole story about signing billion-dollar contracts at exhibitions is, let's say, staged. Those contracts are all agreed upon and negotiated in advance, and at the exhibition, they're just formally signed. In our case, Timurov, since we're a startup and still in the early stages of our business development, we didn't sign anything at the exhibition itself. Instead, we built a huge and comprehensive database of contacts with the aim of selling our product, finding potentially interested investors, and finding reliable partners for future collaboration. So that's how we wrapped up the exhibition.
Colleagues, I see that some of you are saying that it was a bit hard to hear at the very beginning. Please let us know exactly at what point the audio became unclear or difficult to understand. If we need to repeat any points, we will go over what we discussed at the start. It's just not entirely clear to us where exactly the connection may have dropped. And please let us know if everything is okay with the connection now. Sergey, am I right in understanding that overall the main global objective right now is still entering the international market?
Yes, absolutely. Let me remind you that participating in an exhibition is not an end in itself. Rather, it's a valuable tool, a tool for entering and successfully developing your business activities abroad, because there are always challenges and obstacles when working with Russian companies, including in the field of investment. Everything is fine and works well for us in the domestic market, but in the foreign market, we need to create a strong foundation in order to work successfully here.
And, if I understood correctly, at first you couldn't be heard very well when you were talking about Sovelmash, right? Could you please repeat that information? So you were saying that
Sovelmash is still operating. Yes, it's at the final stage. We're at the stage of obtaining the permit for commissioning. There are clients, the building is constructed, everything is in place. We're just waiting for the paperwork. So it's just not in the public eye, but it's already at the finish line. Everything is as it was.
in fact, the Dubai Airshow is not just useful, but also very interesting with everything that's happening here. I don't know if you can hear it through the microphones, but there are jet planes flying over us, and that's exactly why it's called a show, because they put on a show, demonstrating the truly impressive capabilities of modern aviation. For some people, these capabilities are important to assess whether it's worth working with. I covered certain aircraft well. For others, it's similarly fascinating. For example, I found it interesting to watch. I should mention that according to the schedule, in about 10 minutes, for example, the Russian Su-57 jet, a fifth-generation aircraft that is something of a star here, will be flying. This is its first appearance in the Middle East, and it's attracting a lot of attention.
Yes, despite all the current and ongoing difficulties in cooperating with Russia, Russia still has a rather large and significant stand here at this event. There are, I think, a total of 10 different aerobatic teams present here. Yes, out of these 10 aerobatic teams, 2 of them are Russian.
Three, right? The Ka-52 helicopter and the Russian Knights.
Yes, 3 Russian teams, and the Su-57 and the Knights are there. I think that the most interesting show presented here, the demonstration of capabilities and the number of people who gather specifically for the flights, all of that is thanks to Russian technology. We hope that, by the way, in about 2 years when we participate in the exhibition, we will also be able to have our machines displayed outdoors for everyone to see, or even demonstrate them in flight. That's our internal goal for the next 2 years.
Yes, there really is a place to do that here. As for the exhibition, that's basically everything important, right? Yes. We'll talk more today about who exactly we'll be speaking with Vadim Zubkevich. Sergey, could you please tell us, since we're not just talking about the end of this exhibition, which is certainly one of the main events, but also about the conclusion of the second stage overall, what other important events would you highlight?
In the second stage of the process, what exactly do you mean by that?
What events took place?
What happened? Our move to the new office is almost complete. Now, when we return, almost the entire team is here. How many of us are there? 15 people came here. By the way, huge thanks to everyone. Everyone did a great job. I don't know, maybe we're tired, but at the same time, we've somehow recharged ourselves morally for the future. So that's the office move. I think Fedya will talk about that in more detail. The assembly of the aeroplane. We received the machines for shell production. The only thing is we haven't set them up yet. What else hasn't happened yet from what we planned to do in the second stage is that we still haven't bought the airfield. But we have found another solution. So, our activities are not stopping or being delayed in any way. It's just that the airfield wasn't purchased. But unfortunately, that didn't depend on us, and the deal fell through no fault of our own.
And if we talk about some important strategic tasks that the company as a whole is facing, what would you highlight here?
Let's say the demand we've seen here indicates that we need to prepare more thoroughly for further interaction with the outside world. It's clear that we need to have foreign companies because local companies, whether investment or even just partner companies, are not ready to work with Russian companies under the current circumstances. Therefore, creating this infrastructure is a kind of groundwork for the future, something we need to do now at the third stage.
Sergey, thank you very much. Thank you for the information. So, Fyodor, will you be joining us? While Fyodor is coming over, I'll repeat the information that was given at the beginning. All right, yes, you can switch places. In the meantime, I'll repeat the information that was given at the beginning since people wrote that it was hard to hear. I was talking about the numbers. I mentioned that we've sold more than 5 billion shares in total so far over 2 stages, approximately, and that we've already attracted more investment in the second stage than in the first. That is, we had about 3 million in the first investment stage, and now in the second it's already 3.7 million, and we're approaching 5 million just as we planned. I also mentioned that we've surpassed the milestone of 10,000 investors. These are the main figures we wanted to share with you. Fyodor, hello?
Yes, hello everyone.
Let's start with the exhibition as well. Please tell us your impressions, your feelings, who you managed to talk to, what was interesting here in the air show.
It's hard. It's really quite hard right now to crystallize all of this, even just in my own head and in terms of emotions. It feels as though we've been thrown into a whirlwind of events with investors, business partners, interested parties, just onlookers and local authorities. Some people want to offer something, some want to take something, others want to share something. There were an incredible number of contacts. And we had to process and handle all of them. The request was yes, to see how the world would react to dirigibles. And the world responded with one word: necessary. It's necessary to develop this here as well. Here we went a bit further. We approached people who represent the local aviation authorities, specifically regarding flight permissions and regulatory matters. We carefully went through all the required procedures here. Then they sent us further, to those who validate certified aircraft, or certify them themselves, ensuring that every step was properly completed. We worked very thoroughly and carefully with them on all these processes, and gained a clear understanding of the roadmap for entering this market, and not just, so to speak, stepping into an empty field. Here people have emerged who are ready to invest in local infrastructure, in business development, in selling dirigibles, in finding partners, customers, and so on.
Sergey is showing that besides the investors and partners we spoke with, the media also came to us. There were many media outlets and you gave interviews. Tell us what you talked about.
Honestly, I don't even really remember exactly what I said. You can always watch it again on video if you want. It wasn't just Russian ones who came to the event. I think 2 Russian TV channels came, and some Dutch ones came as well. 2 companies, I think. A local Dubai company came as well. There were also several Russian bloggers. Basically, a lot of people showed up. To be completely honest, it was even hard to keep track of all of them.
They already showed a segment on Russia 1 on TV. We are actually in it, so we definitely made it onto television indeed.
And we got featured in the local magazine. In the local magazine, yes, and we also appeared on local television.
This is another advantage of participating in such exhibitions, the fact that you get picked up by the media, spread around by other companies, people, and the press. It's really great, and a lot of people still watch TV, so I immediately got messages like, "You were shown on TV." I said, "That's awesome." So the things you planned, these contacts, investors, clients, and a lot of people interested in certifications and all sorts of things. In principle, did we find the people we wanted to find? Now we just need to really build strong relationships.
Yes. But what is the usual way exhibitions work? As Boris Alexandrovich explains, in the past, basically before the internet, websites, and the ability to quickly share large amounts of specific information, exhibition served as a meeting place for industry partners from different countries. At such an exhibition, you could meet people from one country, another, a third, a fourth, all at once, resolve some issues, share something, and make agreements. Now, all of this has gradually moved far into the realm of information. Practically everything can be done via the internet, through email, or using various online platforms. There are websites where you can easily see and browse their products. And exhibitions have become much more of an image-building component. First of all, you won't be allowed in here if you're a nobody. If you were let in, it means you've already passed some minimal screening and people can already interact with you. That's the first thing. Second, by tradition, this still remains a place for signing contracts. But in reality, it doesn't happen that, roughly speaking, we arrive and someone immediately comes and signs something with us. It's a big, lengthy process. Sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes a year, and some contracts are prepared over several years. Here, it's simply an event worth flying in for, to show yourself, to sign the contract. In reality, everything has already been signed. It's just a formality, but a useful one. And we gathered together a very large number of people with whom we are now entering into active, ongoing collaboration, working out products for some of them, For example, at Nova 01, there were probably more than 100 different devices and there was demand. I need it for advertising, I need it for monitoring, I need 25 units, I need 5 units. And next year we need, for example, at our exhibition in Egypt, they said, go ahead, let it hang here, we'll allow it to fly over the city, no certificates needed. We want it here. The exhibition organizers themselves came to us and said things like, well, how much does it cost? We need to get it up. We made a lot of contacts, and now, in fact, the main work is just beginning. Processing all of them, remembering who they are. But actually, we recorded everyone, business cards, dictated notes by voice into the chat, what specific request the person had, and so on. These details were all collected by us in a Telegram chat. In the evening, we carefully sorted everything into an Excel spreadsheet. But even so, it will still be quite difficult to remember everyone and what exactly they came for. We have to contact each individual, start a dialogue, and begin working. Many will reach out themselves, and it looks like we'll have to set up a separate department for this. Yes, and our main task is that, of course, at the exhibition everything is official, and surely this exhibition is held only once every 2 years. In 2 years we will be right here with you once again, signing large, significant and massive contracts for entire fleets of these advanced airships because next year our Nova 2 will already be flying. This is already a very serious precedent. Many people, even from Boeing, came up, observed, talked and said, when will Nova 2 be ready? Just call us and we will take it immediately. So I am sure that with these contacts, by the next exhibition, there will already be clear and well-defined contracts. But definitely, at the next exhibition, there will already be some major contracts signed because Nova 8 is now on the horizon, and Nova 35 will soon be in the pipeline as well. And we already have, roughly speaking, several Russian orders that we are currently working on and processing.
And which countries showed the most interest, or was it everyone? Probably everyone, right?
We even had people from the UK showing interest. Here's how it went. You approach the UK stand, start talking, interacting. Then they start squinting, probably because of the accent, and ask, which country are you from? You say from Russia. And immediately they stop interacting as much as possible. But at the same time they're standing there, drooling over the airships. We really need them, they say, but everything is politically complicated. Saudi Arabia was very interested, as was Egypt. India practically swarmed our stand.
From China as well?
From the island of Madagascar, from the beautiful country of Sri Lanka, and from the technologically advanced nation of South Korea. Guys from Russia also came by saying, man, why am I even negotiating with these French people about building aerolifts? They say, I really need aerolifts. They say the French are quoting a price that is just too high. They say, it costs so much, we can't even sell it to you at that price. But you guys, you can do it, right? And we're like, yes, we can absolutely do it. And he goes, all right, we'll wait. Let's connect on a call. So yeah, by the way, it wasn't just one person from Russia who approached us like that. It's funny because we're from Russia ourselves, but they found us in Dubai.
Actually, yeah, there are a lot of Russian companies represented here. We haven't mentioned any names yet, but everyone knows them, like Rostec, Russian Helicopters, and many, many others. I remember Russian Helicopters definitely came up to us. Were they pilots or what? No, just company representatives. They were asking questions too. So yeah, for some reason we end up meeting each other in Dubai, Russian companies connecting with each other.
Yeah, we have a small company in Russia. Well, actually not that small. And actually it's not just in Russia, it's international. They make micro blimps for advertising at stadiums, mainly for indoor venues. They come up to us and ask, who are you? We say, we build airships. She goes, never heard of you. So we show them. We have a video here on the screen showing the Nova 01 flying. She's like, how many meters is that? Like 17. And it flies? They're like, it actually flies? And she says, wow, we need those for advertising. Everyone keeps asking us, can you make something bigger? But we can't. So even they, basically our colleagues, but just in the toy business, even they only found us in Dubai.
By the way, very often the first question, or very often when people would come up and ask, what is this? Is it just an idea or does something actually fly? I'd say, something actually flies. And they'd go, oh, that's a whole different level. But a lot of people are really waiting for more serious vehicles, like for tourism and all that. Nova 2, as I understand it, will probably be a turning point. By the way, I'm not sure if I was audible. I was holding the mic low. Nova 2 will probably be that turning point. Because personally, from talking to people, I realized that Nova 2 and the next models are really interesting to them. Because if the smaller vehicle has a limited range of capabilities, then Nova 2 and Nova 8, those particular models, are becoming even more and more promising in terms of their possible applications, so the interest in them is even higher. Is there anything else interesting you'd like to add or mention about the exhibition?
I'm tired?
Yes, by the way, I actually wanted to start this webinar with that, but as soon as the webinar began, I forgot. During the broadcast, energy just comes from somewhere. We've all been sitting here for 5 days now, getting up at 7 in the morning, coming home at 9 or 10 at night, and we've been in this mode for 5 days. Everyone is already really tired, but we still decided to hold this webinar for you. Fedya, then tell us as well what you and Sergey were just talking about regarding the events. So we're approaching the end of the second stage. In your opinion, what has been the most important thing achieved during this time over the past few months? Aside from the exhibition, aside from what we just talked about.
Important or not. In general, in any engineering and design work, there inevitably comes a moment when, roughly speaking, you move from working with concepts and initial sketches to the actual process of design, to producing detailed working design documentation, and to carefully checking its manufacturability. And right now, we are deeply immersed in this particular stage. There have also been other events, like this recent turbulence with the relocation. So as soon as we started working with watches, they decided to overhaul us, basically. But the processes themselves weren't affected at all. Everything is still being produced, everything works as it should. The production process, I don't really know what the current state is at this very moment, but the caisson should already be finished by now. The caisson, which is the lower part of the gondola, serves as the floor, the main structural framework, and also the ballast tank, all at once, performing all these functions together. At the same time, I think they should have already even assembled it by now. In general, painstaking work has actually been going on all this time. What's cool, I've already said this, but I'll repeat. All the Belgian aircraft engines have arrived. They're with us in China. We haven't sent them to Russia yet, but we have them. That's already cool because it was absolutely impossible to get them from Belgium to Russia. By the way, here at the exhibition, a lot of people from Russia have been coming up to us. They say, "We can get you any aviation sanctioned goods. Just give us a call. We've already developed our own mechanisms. We don't need intermediaries." Well, better not say too much in case someone is listening. We need them for something more serious. Anyway, the engines have arrived. That's awesome. What's really cool is that we recalculated the propeller ring drives, in my opinion. And right before we started manufacturing them, we literally put them on pause, reworked them using different methods and a different team. And apparently we're actually going to make them in a different shape. It's actually a very good thing that we didn't start making the previous version. Honestly, there really aren't all that many changes. We just happened to find a vulnerable spot, and thankfully we didn't move forward into the expensive stage of manufacturing all of this. And that stage is, as you might expect, really quite costly. What's great is that we found a reliable contractor to manufacture these VKDs for us. They'll be made from high-quality carbon fiber using precision milled molds. In short, it's a large, reputable company that also works extensively with drones. I won't name them just yet, but they're already fully on board. We've worked through all the technical and design details with them. They're just waiting for us to finalize the exact shape. At this point, there are no more questions about manufacturability. By the way, we also made a lot of valuable contacts here. Mostly representatives from China and South Korea came to us with a very clear purpose, saying, "You have new advanced equipment. You need to build broad long-term cooperation. You need to manufacture a lot of different things. Here are our capabilities, our certificates, and our licenses. This is the equipment we have available. Let's do something together. We know you have a ton of parts and components. We want to produce everything. Just give us the opportunity to work with you." Certainly, we are organizing the first pilot production absolutely ourselves, and while some things are outsourced, they are handled much closer to home in Russia. As for mass production specifically, it's a good thing we were here. Overall, we've made numerous valuable contacts and many opportunities have opened up for this. This will also help you enter other markets, right? Because sometimes, in order to sell certain airships, it might be easier to manufacture them right here in Dubai, certify them and sell them rather than doing it in Russia. These contacts can be used here as well. Well, yes, but still you can draw an analogy like this. You built a brick house at home, a house in Russia. You built yourself a house out of bricks, installed heating, painted it. You know how to do all of that. Then someone comes to you and says, "I have a brick manufacturing plant in Dubai." Will it be easier for you to build it in Dubai using Dubai bricks? Probably yes. Will it make the process of building the house any simpler? No, you just won't have to bring the bricks with you. Organizing all of this here is just as complicated. Of course, it's easier with local bricks, but it's still a monumental task, honestly. Of course, yes. As for what else has been seriously accomplished? We've completely finished the development of the airship's hull, meaning its envelope and all the elements attached to it, and there are a lot of them, even attaching each light. Which light? What shape? I mean technical equipment, but to put it simply, light. It has a specific shape, there are mounting points, and for those mounting points, special flexible brackets are designed, and wiring is run from them. But what kind of wiring? What thickness? What length? Where does it go? Where do they connect? And every tiny detail on the envelope, everything is finished. It was completed with a slight delay from the schedule, because in the illusory reality we had created for ourselves, production was supposed to start in November. We have purchased all the necessary equipment for this. It's sitting in storage. We just don't have the space to set up this equipment and start production. Because there were so many different issues, direct work, the move itself, organizing everything, the exhibition in Dubai, and a bunch of other things all happening at the same time. We focused, or rather, how did we actually focus? I think we acted a bit carelessly by leaving ourselves with only one single option for the premises. That's the one we've planned for. The contract work for securing these premises is underway, but it's inevitably a lengthy process. It's like, we kind of let the situation go a bit, because there was a real rush on all sides. Left, right, above, below. We should have been looking for alternative spaces at the same time. Maybe we would have found something that suited us. The current option suits us perfectly. The only question is when we'll be able to finalize the contract with them. The process is ongoing. There's no way the decision can be reversed, which is a plus, and that's why we relaxed a bit. It's just that everything is taking a long time. Basically, if only things had worked out differently, as we say in Russia, if something had grown somewhere, maybe we would already have the equipment installed and be working on the shell right now, but that didn't happen. The equipment is still packed up, but the shell has been designed and the equipment is ready. All that's left is the easy part. Just be patient. But the stage isn't over yet. We still have a bit of time if we plan to get this done during this phase. But honestly, that's always how it is. It's completely normal to have a huge number of tasks and processes. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you might fall a bit behind. The main thing is to keep moving forward in the right direction, and then everything will work out as planned. By the way, speaking of certain directions for the future, from a technical implementation standpoint, right now, Nova 2 is what we need to focus on first, correct? Yes. And I guess we also got confirmation of that at this exhibition. Well, what is there to confirm? They say, give us a large flying device. How are you making it? We say, this one? They say, let's do it. Do we have any idea about the timeline now? And what exactly do we still need to do to get it flying? We need to set up space for the production line, specifically for the envelope. That's absolutely the very first thing we need to do. We also need to further strengthen and reinforce the production team that's currently assembling the gondola, because right now, to put it simply, there are only about 5 people who are actually working on it. But just so you fully understand, building the gondola is actually very much like building a car. Take out the engine, take out the wiring, even take out the seats, remove all the interior trim, and you could even go so far as to take out the chassis itself. Can you imagine just how many different parts there are, how complex and intricate they all are, and how everything is carefully assembled together? How quickly can a team of 5 people possibly manage to do all of that? In short, we need to ramp up production no matter what. We need to bring in engines from China and start building everything around them. The auxiliary equipment, the gearboxes, the rotating transmissions, the main frame itself where the engine is mounted, and the entire fuel system. This is one of our most fully developed design assemblies. And here we have the most working design documentation released, which is already gradually being handed over to production. So, it's time to get started. We still need to sort out the propellers and the bevel gearboxes. We'll finish those up as we go. So, to answer your question, here we're saying that it will fly in the summer season. We didn't specify which year. Just kidding. Of course we mean in 2026. In what format, you ask? Well, we're planning for it to be an unmanned mission. If, by some miracle, all the flight and navigation equipment fits together harmoniously out of nowhere, then we could even launch a manned version. In reality, working on the cabin interior is also a very serious task. If anyone has ever taken apart a car themselves, then putting it back together, even just taking it apart, is hard, just dealing with all the interior parts. And here, it's not just about creating a design. Design is just a picture. But every panel has to be mounted, it has its own dimensions, tolerances, for example, and all of those need to be specified. These dimensional chains, everything has to be checked for assembly, so just assembling a beautiful cabin interior is no easier than assembling the rest of the airship. And of course, right now we are focused specifically on the technology itself, meaning the airship technology. This is a platform that can lift things, can carry people, can transport cargo, can fly with a pilot, or can fly unmanned. So the cabin interior isn't even necessary at this stage. That's a huge amount of work, so it will take off in the summer, maybe even earlier.
As they say, so that all of this isn't for nothing. And when is it not for nothing? When you know who you can sell it to and how you can make money from it. I think this exhibition, once again, should show everyone, maybe even the skeptics who still don't understand why these airships are so necessary. Guys, I don't know if they're needed or not, but people haven't left this spot for 5 days. Apparently,
Yeah, honestly, it's both funny and a little bit strange. There's a huge pavilion over there with all the giant well-known companies. SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Roscosmos, and so on. There are actually tons of people there. Everyone's crowding around, asking questions about everything imaginable. There are a lot of companies. It's a truly massive pavilion. Basically, here is the startup pavilion, and here there are these little booths. It's almost deserted here compared to that other section. But there's one thing. Our booth is here, and there's just as much excitement around it as there is around the booths over there, and that's actually really cool. Though it is a bit exhausting.
yeah, Fedya, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your comment. You really did a great job. So it's already 5 o'clock. They're going to kick us out soon, right? So we can start relaxing a bit now.
Kick us out. Today and tomorrow we have to dismantle everything. Now we need to take it all apart, pack it up, send some things back, leave some things here. The exhibition isn't over yet.
Yeah, absolutely. And now I'm afraid time-wise, we probably won't make it. So let's bring in Vadim Vasilyevich as well. I'd certainly like to invite Vadim Vasilyevich too. It seems we were told that we need to wrap things up here by 5 in the evening. That's 5 Dubai time, right? Which means 4 o'clock Moscow time. So perhaps let's talk with Vadim Vasilyevich as well. Good afternoon. Vadim Vasilyevich, hello. Hello, why did I invite you? Well, in part it is because you were probably one of the most active and engaged members of our team, always talking to a large number of people who came up to us. You speak English fluently and you are not at all shy about approaching and interacting with people. So I want to ask you, roughly how many people did you manage to talk to during the event? I can't even say for sure. Several dozen, maybe up to 100, perhaps even more. I think it was definitely more than just a few dozen. I think you actually talked to hundreds, maybe even more than 100. It's hard for me to estimate. And can you recall now what kind of people there were? What did they ask about? What did they want? Maybe someone stood out in particular?
I would divide all the people who came up to our booth during the event into 3 large and distinct groups. The first group, probably the largest cohort, are just people who are genuinely curious, who are surprised that airships exist, that they are being built. We also communicated very actively with these people because we need to increase our company's recognition. In other words, we want as many people as possible to know about us. And these were all kinds of people from many different backgrounds. There were skilled pilots who operate a wide range of airplanes and commercial helicopters. There were also professors from universities, including those from local Dubai universities, as well as other prominent Arab universities, who were simply interested in learning more. We told them about it so that they could then share this information with their students, letting them know that such aircraft exist, that these aircraft can have a new life, and that they can become successful and economically viable. The more people who know about this, the better it will be for everyone. The second rather large group of people are those who are waiting for our airships, who often ask, when will they be available? This is because these people are either representatives of tourist companies or representatives of transport companies or simply representatives of airlines who are interested in operating our airships. Literally, the last person I spoke with just about 15 minutes ago was from India. He has his own small company that provides pilot training, manages pilot operations, and also offers tourist services. His company is based not far from the vibrant city of New Delhi, and he's inviting us to visit him. He himself wants to come to Moscow, meet us personally, and is very eager to operate the Nova 2 airship to provide tourist rides in Delhi. He mentions they have exceptionally beautiful national parks, and that this whole idea should really catch on there and be in high demand. And perhaps a smaller part, but the most important part for us, are the investor individuals who want to create a joint business with us and develop the airship industry in the countries they come from. These include Saudi Arabia, India, and even Madagascar. I personally haven't spoken with anyone from Madagascar, but someone told me that investors from Madagascar came who want to build airships in Africa. These are very important, very interesting partners for us because, let's say, they want to help bring our products to the international market. And alongside them are the aviation authorities, who are the official bodies that can help us with the certification process in those countries where the airships will be operated. That's how I would summarize and encapsulate things overall. If I were to single anyone out, I was especially impressed by the people from Saudi Arabia. They are very serious individuals. They immediately engage in very serious discussions, and you realize that these are people you can do business with.
Did you agree on anything, any next steps with them?
The next step is that after the exhibition ends, we need to take a little time to cool off, and then we'll still be here until the 25th. Well, I personally will be here until the 25th. Sergey Viktorovich will stay until the 30th. They want to hold private meetings to agree on more specific matters because, as you understand, such serious issues can't be resolved on the fly, even sitting here.
This is an initial introduction, shaking hands and exchanging contacts. After that,
it's not just a simple first introduction. We discussed a lot of issues, realized that they are genuinely interested, and understood what exactly interests them the most. But concrete agreements, those are serious matters. That takes preparation. It might even take more than one meeting before we reach any commercial results.
Yes, we actually have a special area here, a table and 2 couches. We'll show this in more detail in the main report, where there will be an overview of the booth. Some people sat here for an hour or even 2. The conversations lasted a long time, so yes, it really wasn't just a quick handshake and a hi there. These were genuinely interested people who asked a huge number of questions and often even worked through some technical details, asking very specific questions.
They have their own business plan in mind, and they were trying to figure out whether we would fit into their business model.
But if we talk about areas of application, the airship has a very broad, almost limitless range. Anything you can think of, anything that can be lifted or made to fly, anything at all. But if we talk about what people have asked, have you identified any specific directions to say, oh, this is definitely the most interesting one?
People, of course, generally want to learn more about this from us. It's not as though they come and immediately start teaching us where airships should be used. On the contrary, serious investors or experienced operators come and ask, what do you propose? Why specifically in this area? Why do you think airships will be effective here? We share our vision with them. They ask questions, and we gain some understanding, let's say feedback from the industry in general about what is expected, and we have to adjust our plans a bit. We were very surprised to find that so many people are specifically interested in a tourist airship, and even a small tourist airship. There are a lot of interested people. If it physically existed right now, meaning you have a suitcase, and inside it is a 6-seat tourist airship, just buy it, unpack it, fill it with helium, and fly. Of course, I say this with a laugh. It's just a figure of speech. People were already ready, so to speak, to open their credit cards and show that they were willing to buy them. But it's not quite that simple, because we all need to understand that this kind of equipment requires a special approach. It needs certification, it needs validation. If we have a Russian certificate, it requires that not just anyone can operate it. It had to have the status of an airline, and that airline also needed its own certificate authorizing it to operate, because everything related to aviation safety is extremely serious. We all need to fully understand that.
By the way, one of the most common questions concerns flight permissions and, in one way or another, certification. I can tell you that I've personally spoken with a large number of people and have seen that many others have also discussed the certification in different countries, it seems to me that now we have a whole pool of contacts with whom we can start working on certifying devices in various countries across different parts of the world. I think this is also extremely important.
This is extremely important, but it's important to understand this is a multi-stage process and not all certificates are the same. It's one thing to get a certificate for operating a drone under a certain weight limit, which is different in every country. For example, when we spoke with representatives from the United Arab Emirates, we learned that for the UAE, this limit is 150 kilograms. For unmanned aerial vehicles heavier than 150 kilograms, there is a certification procedure that is much more stringent. For aircraft weighing less than 150 kilograms, a different, significantly simplified procedure applies. The Nova 01 airship falls under the procedure for those under 150 kilograms, since its volume is only 130 cubic meters. In Russia, legislation is much stricter. The threshold is 30 kilograms. So even with an airship like the Nova 0, in Russia, certification and getting flight permission would be much more complicated. That's encouraging. It's good to know there are countries where things are more liberalized and it's easier for us to start commercial operations. Did you talk about today's airship this morning or not? Did you forget about that?
No, we didn't mention it.
When we were on our way to the exhibition this morning, we were surprised to see an airship flying in the sky over Dubai, advertising a local developer. Buy an apartment from a local developer. Yes, thermal. It was in fact a thermal airship, specifically a manned thermal airship. But still, you see, people here already know what an airship is. People are familiar with what advertising on airships is. So that's...
I mean, I'll tell you more. This kind of advertising is actually very, very effective because I had an acquaintance here who was at Dubai Marina. That's a place with lots of tourists, and he got caught right there. And since he knows that we work with airships, he said, "Oh, airships in Dubai." In other words, it's something people want to talk about. People don't just walk past an airship without noticing. It always creates a lot of excitement. So advertising on an airship, I'm sure that any company that does this will immediately get a lot of attention.
That's why maybe we'll start by bringing our existing project, the Nova 01 airship, to the international market. It already exists. If Nova 02 is going to fly in a few months, Nova 01 has been flying since spring. It's already been tested. Let's put it this way, there's just a little bit left to turn it into a commercial product.
By the way, speaking of commercial products and the fact that we have a lot of potential customers here, overall, what prospects do you see after this exhibition? And the possibility that clients, customers, or investors might appear? What are your own expectations from this process, perhaps?
From what I've gathered, through conversations and participating in discussions between our specialists, our team, and potential investors, the most important thing for us right now is to find a strategic investor. And not just someone with money, but someone who works in this industry, who understands its needs. In other words, someone with expertise. Such a person could invest in us so that, for example, we could assemble airships, develop them in one place, build them here, start operating them here, and help us avoid pitfalls and figure out how to move into commercial operation. There are a few people, let's say, who are contenders for the title of our strategic investor. I think that after the exhibition, Sergey Semyonov will meet with them and choose the person with whom we'll continue to develop the business.
So, look, dear friends, maybe there won't even be a third stage. Maybe we won't need it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for working so actively.
Thank you to our whole team. We have a big team. When you release the film, you'll see that I'm not alone, and Pasha isn't alone either. Many people work.
About 10 to 13 people.
We had 3 translators and everyone was involved.
3 translators. By the way, one of our translators, Anastasia, said she had never seen anything like this in her life. She said, "I've been to a lot of exhibitions, and usually they're more formal, but here we just weren't allowed to sit down at all. Sometimes you want to talk to someone, but all the translators are busy and you don't know what to do."
And the translators were, all of them were fluent in English, but one was fluent in French, one in Italian, and one in Arabic. And all the languages were in use.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your attention. All right, we'll answer a few more questions and then wrap up. It's 5 o'clock now.
Am I free to go right now?
Yes, that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, friends, we're going to start wrapping up. Before I finish, I'll take a quick look at the questions. It seems like there are a lot of viewers, but not that many questions have been submitted. Let me see what people are writing. Someone asks, Arabs in kafiyas, are they probably millionaires in the United Arab Emirates? Not necessarily. They could just be ordinary religious people who dress in that style, but sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. In fact, both the Sheikh and the Prince of Dubai have come here, and by their appearance alone, you really can't tell them apart from their own servants. They're all dressed in their traditional attire, which is customary and deeply rooted in their culture, and if no one tells you that this is the most important person in Dubai, you would never guess. So it's not always obvious. Regarding Izvestia, yes, it's true. Izvestia interviewed Fyodor Konstantinov. Many media outlets will be covering us and sharing our story. We were shown on TV once before. We're currently waiting to be on TV again. In fact, Izvestia already featured us on Rossiya 1. There's also a lot of information about us available online. Take note, this time we filmed reels on a variety of different topics, and people came up to our booth and said they had seen our reels online and got interested, so they decided to come to our booth. So that approach works too. Now, this is exactly what we were just talking about. Maybe these major investors. The question is about strategic investors. It's quite possible that by attracting large investments here, we might not need crowdfunding anymore. I fully allow for that possibility. How do people think here? How do venture investors often think? Often, at the venture stage in general. Although it's not accurate to say we're entirely at the venture stage. We have a working product, we have an experienced team. It's not just some idea. But imagine when there's just an idea, and yet people, investors, still put tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars into it. I can tell you that at this stage, it's almost impossible to predict which company will be profitable. And people just invest in a large number of companies simply hoping, are you doing something unique? Well, if you succeed, I'll become very, very rich. That's why I think that since we have the ambitious objective of entering the international market, and now the investors we're talking to understand that we're going to do it with or without them. And it seems to me that with this kind of motivation, let's say with the sense of missing out, they might be able to make investment decisions fairly quickly. We'll see. Now, a lot will depend on further negotiations and on how those negotiations go. I can also add from myself, friends, honestly, the exhibition went even better than I expected. And I'm generally an optimist. I knew that everything would go well for us. I was confident that we would handle everything. Although personally, this was my first time participating in an exhibition, but I didn't expect the work to be so intense. You know how it is when you go to a Solar Group conference. There are investors, partners, you give presentations, you talk all day. And here, this conference ran from morning till evening, 5 days in a row. I felt just like at a conference, when people never leave your side, when every minute of your time is scheduled, when even just grabbing a bite to eat, you run away from the stage just to have lunch, and even then you have to take turns because there are so many people. I consider that a success. I believe we got everything we could out of this exhibition, and we will see the corresponding results from it. Friends, let me remind you once again that very soon, on December 26th, our investment stage will change. The AERONOVA project will move from the second to the third stage of financing, according to the financing schedule and the goals and objectives we have set for ourselves. Congratulations on that. And remember, you still have approximately 1 month left to invest under the current terms of the second stage. As for Sovelmash, as we have also mentioned, the situation here is different. You need to act faster. In just approximately 1 week, we will have a stage change, and the current discount will be reduced significantly by approximately 30%. So if you want to invest under the current terms, please remember that there are literally only 5 or 6 days left. Take advantage of this opportunity yourself and let your friends and acquaintances know about it. I think we will soon release several videos that will provide more details about how the exhibition went. At the same time, you can find a lot of useful and interesting information online if you're interested in learning more. Before the new year, I think we'll have at least one more broadcast from the company Solar Group, where we'll summarize and review some results of the exhibition, talk about the contacts with whom we managed to find common ground, and enter the new year 2026, hopefully as a truly international company. That's all from me. Thank you very much, everyone. Remember, a lot is determined by your activity, including how many people will watch this broadcast. So please give it a like, share it, and send the link to your friends. With this link, they'll be able to watch the recording of this broadcast. So don't be lazy. Help our project grow if you like what we're doing. Thank you all, and we'll see each other again.